Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's January 27th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day.
Wait, hold on. Are my glasses not working? Because you look like you're out of focus. I think the one day I wear glasses.
Holy cow, what the hell?
The one day I wear glasses. Is that my glasses? Do I need a new prescription? Or are you like, did you become fuzzy?
I don't know.
All right, well, go continue. Continue, good sir.
It's weird.
Don't worry about it. Oh, there you go.
Hopefully it corrects.
I thought it was my glasses. I never wear glasses, and I just figured I look smart for once, so people stop saying how stupid I am. But now you look fuzzy again. Whatever. Continue.
I think it's your glasses. Either that or your glasses have infected the broadcast.
My glasses.
Anyway, we're here to discuss the news of the day, whether we're in focus or not. I have no idea what's going on. But anyway, so let's start with Logan Sagapolo, because this is a kid that I think is going to be a starter at offensive guard this year. And this is a massive pickup. People have been saying on the message boards at CaneSport.com, when is there going to be an impact transfer? When is there going to be an impact transfer? They're just getting Jags, that sort of thing. All right, first of all, that's not what's been going on. Okay, Frank Latson at wide receiver should be a rotation guy. Okay, Henry Parrish at running back should be a rotation guy. Lichtenstein at defensive line will be a rotation guy. Okay, and now Logan Sagapolo will be, I think, a starter on the offensive line. So these are moves that are being made. No franchise players being brought in or anything like that, Matt. But these are moves being made that are making this team better going into 2022.
All right, so people already know how I feel about the numbers. It is what it is. So I won't talk about that. Oh, here we go. So I do like. Are you trying to
get myself back in focus? I don't know what's going on.
Are you trying to upstage me?
No, you keep talking. I'm trying to get the camera to put me back in focus.
Do is distract you.
I don't know what's going on with this dang thing.
You got to move the camera closer to your face. You're too far
There
away.
we go. I did it. All right, go ahead. Talk to us about transfer pickups and Logan Sagapolo. That was bizarre. I think your glasses were responsible for that. But go ahead.
You already said that. So, okay.
Sorry for repeating my material.
Again, I just like to look at the facts. Okay, I do eventually want Miami to get recruits where they're competing with the Ohio States, the Alabamas, the Georgias of the world, and they're getting those kids. That's just what I want. That's what I want to see. I think that's the really how you get to the pinnacle is when you compete with the other teams at the pinnacle and you get the recruits. This kid, these are the facts, and then we'll talk about it a little more. But he was a 3-star out of high school. No big deal. He chose to go to Oregon over offers. This is per their official website. Arizona, BYU, Hawaii, Nebraska, Utah, Virginia, and Washington State. Those were his top other offers. He did not break onto the field at all as a true freshman, and he was hurt last year, and he was going to be a second-teamer, he said, at guard. He was second team, I think he said, right guard in fall drills right before he got hurt. So he wasn't going to start there. So you're anointing him the starter here. That's fine. The offensive line here wasn't great. What I think is good about this, and those are facts, okay? But why I like this, aside from the number problem, which I don't love, but why I like this, he's played under Alex Mirabal. He knows what's expected. He knows what Alex Mirabal teaches these offensive linemen. And then guess what? It's like when you have a kid in college, right? Your kid's going to ask other kids in the class, hey, what does this mean? Hey, how do I do this? This is a guy these other players can come to now and say, what's it going to be like? What are these techniques he's teaching us? How can you come out with me on Saturday of the offseason and show me a few of the techniques to help me perfect it? Because he's been with Alex Mirabal for 2 years. I think that's fantastic. You need someone like that. And I also completely trust Alex Mirabal and Mario Cristobal with offensive line talent. If you ask me if it was a defensive lineman, I'd say, I'm not so sure. But they know what a really good offensive lineman is supposed to look like. They know that their offensive line's not good enough right now from what they've seen on tape and just, I guess, eyeballing the kids. They want a physical offensive lineman that can punish the defensive line and move the ball on the ground. And if this is what it takes and this is who they decided to take, then who am I to argue? These literally are two of the best offensive line evaluators / talent guys in the country. So I would never say this is a bad idea. The facts are he's a 3-star, but they love him. He was there for 2 years. I agree with you. I think he'll be a starter here. I don't think they brought him in to be a backup. That makes no sense. They were looking for immediate help. They need immediate help on the offensive line. And if he is a starter this year and if he does well, then this was a fantastic pickup. And if he's a backup, I mean, again, with the numbers, it's really hard to jettison a kid like that. You can't. But even if he's a second-team rotation guy, it's not the end of the world, I guess. So we'll just have to see how things progress with him. But, on the surface, I do like it, like I said, because of the Cristobal, Mirabal have seen him. And if they're good enough to take, if they think he's good enough to take, then I think who am I to say no? I'm a nobody wearing glasses that everything's out of focus in. So,
Well, thank God I'm back in focus. But, I tried to keep my mouth shut and not interrupt you or anything like that.
You did a great job.
And I do agree with pretty much everything you said there. But like early in that speech, you threw out a ha ha, and I didn't quite get what that was about. Like I didn't hear anything funny that was coming out of what you were saying. Do you remember?
You took me off the screen. It's when you took me off the screen.
No. This was after you had started speaking. I don't know.
I was clearing my throat.
I'm trying to figure out what that ha ha was, But yeah, no, this is a good pickup, Matt, and I hope people see it that way. Miami needs help on the offensive line. The position is not in a good place, and this kid should provide some help. And,
Listen,
and I do think he's going to start.
My favorite part about this kid is he never Jaleel Florence me. He always responded to text, always answered his phone. Super respectful, nice kid. Really well spoken. I think he's a great kid. I just hope he comes through the way they want him to.
All right. So moving on to other news of the day, let's talk a little bit about running backs because we've been talking the last few days about the quality of the 2023 running back class in South Florida with Richard Young and Mark Fletcher, two elite guys. Miami would love to get both of those guys. Trust me. And somebody was ridiculing me the other day for posting on the message board.
Just one person was ridiculing you? That's it? One person?
Yeah, they were ridiculing me because they said there's no way Miami's getting all these running backs, and like I pointed out, like you mean like Miami when Miami's been good, never had multiple elite performers at individual positions.
Well, okay.
Like, are you
remember they did
Frank
stagger
Gore, Willis McGahee, Clinton Portis. Like it's impossible. Like no. It's not impossible. It's what you are aiming for. And it is what Miami has not been aiming for way too long here. And that is why Mario Cristobal is here making $8 million a year, because he will be aiming for that type of talent at every single position on the football field. Which brings me to my point of our story today on Texas decommit and Owens, Texas, elite running back prospect Reuben Owens. And the interesting thing about this, Matt, is even with these elite running backs that Miami's already recruiting in 2023 from South Florida, they're not counting their chickens before they hatch. And they're not putting all their eggs in one basket either. They are recruiting multiple elite performers, including Reuben Owens from Texas.
Correct. I think what you're missing in the equation from the person who disrespected you so horribly was they probably were referring to in a particular class, you're not going to take more than 2 running backs. And really, in a perfect world, you want 1 running back per class. Maybe every 4 or 5 years, you take 2, so you have 5 or 6 on the roster at a time. You don't need more than that. I think that's probably what they're referring to. They already have 5 on the roster, though. They may get a 6 with Trevante Citizen if things go well this weekend. So yeah, you don't say no to one of these running backs. If they all want to come in, that's great. But the problem is a lot of these guys don't want to come in with each other. There's only one ball to go around. And sometimes they, believe it or not, these running backs will watch each other and they know who's better than who, believe it or not. You think they're all great, but they say, oh, if this guy goes to Miami, I'm not sure that I'll be getting the ball much. This guy looks like the next NFL superstar. That happens. So at a running back position, at a quarterback position, that's sort of what you see. At receiver, it's different because you can obviously play more than one receiver. At offensive line is different. You can move positions. And a tight end, you can play 2 tight ends. So really running back and quarterback, it is difficult to get multiple 5-stars, so to speak, in the same class. You stack them back to back to back to back, and that's how you make it work. The other problem is if you take 2 great running backs in this class, well, 2024, they're going to look at that and say, oh boy, So Mario Cristobal's done this very, very well. He's always managed to do this, and he's always managed to bring in top recruits, and he knows how to balance his classes really well. So I'm not really worried about it at all. But to your point of offering Reuben Owens and other running backs, yeah, I love that because you need backup plans. We bemoaned for a long time here the lack of having, you don't want to say plan B or plan C because you really want just a bunch of plan A's. And in
These
the
are
past,
all plan A's.
Yeah, and in the past when the plan A's didn't pan out, now they're going to a guy they haven't talked to in 3 months. And that's a real plan B. Well, when I say plan A, I mean this is a kid that they recruited for a long period of time, even if they have other kids ahead of them on their big board of recruiting, which they keep hidden away, locked in a vault in John Ruiz's basement. So,
you did it.
I knew it.
You did it.
I knew it.
Let the record show.
Very excited.
And Matt violated the code before me today.
So,
and let's remind them the untouchables.
So if you go hunting around the basement, Gary, where you are right now, you could probably find the big board of recruiting. You'll see it's not just we're going to talk to the top 5 guys at each position in this recruiting class. It goes much, much farther beyond that. And they do have tiers, and they do know who's where on their early boards, and they'll know more when they get more coaches in place, of course. And the fact that they're going to go after a much bigger depth of talent over a much longer period of time, that's what really pays dividends over the long term because you're building a relationship. It's not, oh my gosh, Alabama just offered this kid at the last second. He went in for a visit and they're offering him an NIL deal of $1 million. We just lost him. Now what do we do? It's not panic time like we've seen with past, what do we call them, regimes. It's okay. Well, we've been talking to this other kid for 6 months. He really likes us a lot. We like him a lot. Let's bring him in on a visit and maybe we can make this work. And once that kid knows you and trusts you and you're honest with these kids in recruiting, kids understand you can't always give them a committable offer right away. And most of these kids, honestly, you find out before you even talk to them and offer them if they want to commit early, if they're waiting until signing day. So if a kid's waiting until signing day as a top prospect, you can certainly make it seem like he has a committable offer the entire time and just keep on showing interest in him. That's what these past regimes did not do. And that's what Mario Cristobal does do. So I can't emphasize enough how much of a shift in recruiting there's going to be from really, I would say, the last 4 coaching staffs. Mark Richt's staff, Mark Richt knew how to recruit at Georgia very well, but the staff he had in place here, they honestly didn't pay these guys enough, and they weren't the right guys on that staff. I know they had one great year, but they just weren't. The last 4 coaches, I would argue, basically, whatever limited success they had, it was based on those first amazing recruiting classes they got in their first year, their first full year cycle. And after that, it really faded. You're not going to see that happen with Mario Cristobal. You're just not, which is why fans should be so optimistic about this staff from the top. We don't have the whole staff, this top of the staff.
All right. Well, the goal was in our effort to have a John Ruiz cooling off period was to get through a 3rd straight Good Morning CaneSport show without talking about Ruiz, but you blew that. So I just, want you to know I've been working on some things for when the day comes that he surges back into the limelight. And I want to say I'm working on a replacement for that picture over your right shoulder.
I already told you.
And I wanted to test this one out before I made the poster that's going to go into that frame behind you. So I got to slide it. It looks like I got to crop it a little bit, slide it a shade to the right. But I thought this would be a pretty good background.
You're gonna manipulate my background?
Well, that horse has got to go. I mean, the horse has got to go, and John Ruiz might as well be the one that's back there. So I'm working on it. I've got it almost set.
People love that. That's John Pace original artwork. Nobody wants that covered up. That's way more valuable than John Ruiz's face. People are going to want to see that every time I'm on the screen. They don't want to see John Ruiz's face over it.
Yeah, they do.
No, they definitely don't.
Yeah, they do. We're gonna.
I'm not even gonna. First of all, you'll be canceled if you cover up that artwork with some modern day billionaire, hypothetically billionaire. We don't know. He might have less money than Gary, but if you cover up that artwork with a modern day billionaire, you're going to be canceled by the current culture. It's going to be over, Gary. You're going to have no audience. you'll be, I don't want to compare you to some other people who've been canceled, but you'll be one of those canceled people.
Well, we'll see. But anyway, we were doing pretty well. And I just want you to know I am working on that poster that's going to go behind you over there relatively soon, I believe, because there's not too many more days that are going to go by before he makes more news. I promise you that. All right, let's move on to more news of the day. More recruiting. It's recruiting right now. We have a story on an Orlando tight end by the name of Camp McGee, who came down to Elite Prospect Day, received an offer, was very excited about that, liked his time with Stephen Field. And so we give you an update on that.
Hey, wait. Let me ask you, why do you think his name is Camp? Should I give you some choices?
Huh?
I'll give you some choices. You can pick which one. Was it his birth name is Camp? Was it he loved Sleepaway Camp so much that he decided to change his name to Camp? Is it that his middle name is Campbell and he shortened it to Camp? Or is it that he was a counselor at a camp and that was his nickname, and so that's the name he now uses, even though it's not his given name?
Don't know.
Well, take a guess. I just gave you 4
I don't know.
Oh my lord. His middle name's Campbell.
Oh, so they just shortened.
He doesn't want his first name out there. I said, should we refer to you by your first name? He says, no,
Camp.
definitely not.
That's a cool story.
Gotta love a kid like that. Listen, my middle name is it's Samwell. Samwell, not Samuel. Samwell. So I can relate to this poor.
So you want to be known as Shodell.
I don't, my parents thought 777 was lucky. So my first name 7 letters, my last name was 7 letters. My father's grandfather was Samuel, so they want to name me after him. But you had to have 7 letters, so there you go. I'm so lucky, Samwell.
That's a great story. I'm sure your mom's enjoying that right now as she watches the show.
I told her not to watch anymore. She kept posting comments. It was embarrassing. She's banned. She's
Hi,
canceled.
Mrs. Shodell.
She's been canceled. She's been canceled.
Good morning to you as well as the whole Canes Nation. All right, so we also have a story this morning on a Georgia offensive lineman by the name of Jonathan Klein. Loved his visit to Miami as well. And we're seeing a pattern here, everybody. Like, you're seeing pretty much every kid that comes to Miami, whether they're from South Florida, and you're seeing a lot of out-of-town kids getting down here very quickly. They all pretty much are loving what they're seeing. They're loving the coaching staff. They're loving the message. They're loving a lot. And you can kind of see where this 2023 recruiting effort is about to go. And it's very exciting. And, that's why I keep telling people, Matt, stop stressing about these coordinator hires. Mario's going to get himself 2 good coordinators. He's not trying to rush and make a mistake for the sake of just naming somebody. He's taking his time. He's assessing his options. He's looking for balance, guys that complement each other and things like that. He's looking to get his coaching staff right. Plus, when you factor in the money that Miami is going to be paying coordinators under Mario Cristobal in this new budget, the buyouts are enormous, okay? And if you make a mistake, you're going to cost your program a lot of money. So there's nothing wrong with taking your time. There's nothing wrong with being extra careful. There's nothing wrong with having a firm conviction over who you're hiring. And I think, I honestly think people should just give him some space, let him do his thing, and then judge what he does. And
go ahead. And people wanted us to talk about, for instance, Brian McClendon and the rumors he's going to take a Georgia job. I don't know what people want us to say, because what happens is there's constant coaching carousels this time of year. People are going to get offers, whether they're reported, leaked out by obviously the Georgia side or not. There's backdoor offers all the time going out to really good assistant coaches. We don't know if he's going to take the job or not, because it's a counter offer type deal, right? They say, hey, you can do this here. We want you for this much, here's your role, blah, blah, blah. Miami can come back and say, well, we'll give you whatever. And then this is all behind the scenes. People want us to say what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen.
I think he's going to stay. I mean, I have confirmed that he has had conversations with Georgia. The people I know in Athens feel he is a legit candidate for that job. But I think that Mario Cristobal has been very good to Brian McClendon and values him greatly. And the wide receiver picture down here over the next several years looks absolutely unbelievable. And quite frankly, Brian McClendon has, unless he just wants to live in Athens, Georgia, has no reason to leave the job he's in. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I know fans are freaked out about there's still so many job openings and signing days coming up, but I'm actually with Gary, and I've been saying it pretty much since the beginning that you can't rush this hiring. Gary, you laughed at me when I said the only deadline is a month before spring ball starts, so they can evaluate the talent, get the plan in place, and get the kids the playbooks to study. You laughed at me like that's absurd that we could possibly have to wait until February. Or
did I really laugh at you? Did I really?
You laughed at me, and I said,
I laughed at you.
You did. You can rewind the tape, and I said it's not going to come to that, right? You're not going to have to wait until the middle of February to have your hiring in place, but maybe
you might have to wait till the middle of February.
Maybe listen. Mario has already, we know, interviewed a bunch of guys for both jobs. It's almost like recruiting. He's such a good recruiter. Now he's recruiting for a defense coordinator, offense coordinator, and a couple of open positions on the staff. And to just like when you're recruiting, you're evaluating, you're talking to them, you're figuring out what's best for your program, what's the best fit for you as a person. You're talking to people around them to see what they've done. You may already know them somewhat. It's not such an easy process, but yeah, there's also a tier, just like in recruiting. You have your first choice, your second choice, your third choice. I'm sure Mario has his choices. And if the first choice hasn't decided yet and hasn't told you no, and you want a home run hire, you wait. You wait, because this is about the future of the program. This isn't about, oh my gosh, Shamar Stewart's coming to visit. It's too late. I gotta hire whoever. That's panicking. That's what past administrations have done. Mario, to me, this is my opinion. This is not, I usually take the view from above and just have facts. This is my opinion, okay? I think he's doing it the right way. If that guy says no, you go to the second guy. The second guy hasn't decided, you wait. And then once he decides, you go to the third guy. You got to get the best possible guy you can for this position and let it play out. There's going to be offers for top guys. It's not only Miami's the only guy in the picture. That's not going to be a top guy. Those are the guys Miami's hired in the past.
And there's a lot going on in the National Football League right now. And there's a lot of coaches and a lot of coaching staffs involved. And there's going to be really good coaches that are going to be looking for work. And sometimes being patient could end up paying off.
Right, because what if you hire somebody and then a week later somebody you didn't expect to be available all of a sudden is available because the head coach got fired?
I would like to get that guy, right?
Right. You just don't know.
So we'll see. All right, and last but not least, we got visits coming up this weekend, and among the visitors are going to be the pair from Cardinal Gibbons High School, those two defensive linemen that I know Miami's counting on getting, Ahmad Moten and R. Mason Thomas. And those would kind of be the cherry on top of the current coaching staff, Matt. These are two defensive line prospects. I mean, they just came back from visiting Oklahoma. I mean, Miami's not the only school out there that values these two guys. But I think Miami's in a good place for them. I think having the final visit is for a reason. And I'm expecting Ahmad Moten and R. Mason Thomas to both end up Miami Hurricanes. Your thoughts?
I have talked to both of them. Oklahoma definitely made a really positive impression. They do, while they won't say it openly, they do want to play together in college. Miami's getting the last visit. It just has to go well. It just has to really wow them and go really well. The good news is they have a defensive line coach. The good news is they haven't said, there has to be a defensive coordinator or I'm not sure what I'm going to do. They like Miami. I'm hoping Anthony Moten comes on the visit. For those of you that are fans just in the last few years, Anthony Moten's a former Hurricane who's Ahmad's older brother. Ahmad said he's maybe going to come. So I hope he shows up because certainly that would be neat to have a former Hurricane on the visit with you who could be reminiscing, telling you stories about when he was here and that sort of thing. But yeah, listen, I think if signing day was today, heading into the visit, I don't think they'd be able to sign. I think that's the kind of impression Oklahoma made. I think going into the Oklahoma visit, they both thought, we'll be Miami Hurricanes. And Oklahoma is a really, really good program. They do a good job of winning kids over. They've been a good program for a long time. So now it's on Mario Cristobal. And to some extent, this coming up weekend is going to be the first real, I don't want to say trial, but the first real sense we get of the Mario Cristobal magic, because this is Mario Cristobal. This is his program. This is his new vision. This is going to be, you could say, an indictment of him, an early indictment of him, if he can get some of these kids to come and say, I believe in what you're saying. And this is what he's been able to do at other programs. You know, FIU, he turned them around. It was a different level. Oregon, he was able to turn them around. That's a pretty high level. So now he's got to do that here. And we're going to get our first sense of it on Wednesday. So we're going to find out very, very quickly on Wednesday. This guy is going to make a major difference. And even if he doesn't, even if he whiffs on some of these guys, well, some of the staff's not in place. He hasn't had a full recruiting cycle. So there's still a lot of caveats. I wouldn't read too much into it if they miss some guys on Wednesday, but I would read into it if they land 80% of the targets they've had in February, because that would just basically say, even without a staff, even without a full staff recruiting them the whole time, in just a short period of time, a month and a half, look what he did. That would tell you everything you need to know. So Wednesday is going to be a really interesting day to sort of see, hey, we know this guy is for real and he could do it in Miami, which we already know he can, but it'll show it. It's something tangible you can see, versus Miami still has an image problem. Miami has to get their coordinators. They need a full recruiting cycle to get things done.
All right, so that's going to do it for today. Probably more, you know, there'll be more on the website today as the day goes forward. Big visit weekend coming up. So a lot to be excited about on a continued basis in the Hurricane Nation. So for Matt Shodell, don't ever put me out of focus again. I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you for joining us on Good Morning CaneSport, and we'll see you next time, everybody.